everybody, and welcome to another episode of HP Critical. It's a podcast where my friends and I talk all things gaming. I'm Jarrell, and I'm joined by Brandon.
Hey, yo, hello.
And Gabriel.
Hello, everyone.
And we're going to have a short one. Chrissy's not here. Kelly's not here. It's just dudes hanging out with other dudes talking about video games, like every other video game podcast. Wow, what a surprise. So what have you guys been playing lately?
But I just want everyone to know that even though Chrissy's not here, she is here in spirit, wearing her Pikachu sunglasses because Detective Pikachu, as of this recording, comes out in 2 days.
Don't say things like that. Don't date these recordings because then people will know how long it takes me to put them out.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's funny.
People. Yeah, to answer your question of what I've been playing, I have gone back to a few games. I recently went back to Metroid Prime Remastered and finished that.
Where do you go?
Oh yeah, Jarrell disappeared for a second. Yeah, and now I have.
You're muted again.
Okay, but you can't hear me?
He is muted. Okay, he knows. But anyway. Yes, I have also gone back to Advance Wars. I was like about, I want to say like 60% done with Advance Wars 2 before Tears of the Kingdom came out, and obviously that had to take priority. But now I'm back on Advance Wars 2, and I'm getting pretty close to the end, so I will be able to check that off my list before this month is done, which is good because a lot more games are coming out.
Legit thought you were done with Advance Wars 2, not gonna lie.
No, I was really, well, I say really close, but I was, again, 60% done before Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, it was 2 games, and that shit came out like 2 weeks before Tears of the Kingdom. I'm happy I at least got the first game done.
Our excuses.
Says the one who doesn't have a single completed game this year.
That's also a lie.
What game have you completed?
Forspoken, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and some
Resident
other
Evil 4
ones.
doesn't count.
It
How
doesn't
does
count.
it not count?
That game comes out every year.
Resident Evil 4
It's a remake,
what?
Dirk.
No, this is the
That
first time it's been out since like 1990 something. Or 2000 something. What are you talking about? Like, this is the first remake of Resident Evil 4 ever. It is not...
What's the Resident Evil game that keeps getting remade?
I don't know. They keep doing different ones. They did 2, then they did 3, then they did 4. They're not just remaking the same game. And Resident Evil 4 is supposedly the best game in the series, and the remake was really good, and it's one of the Game of the Year contenders. What are you talking about?
First of all, Resident Evil 4 came out in 2005. So
Okay,
it's come down with the
I said
1990s.
2000s. Okay, I don't know. I've never played it.
If what Gabe meant is the one that keeps getting re-released, hell yeah, 4 is like the one that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It keeps getting
Okay.
released every single year.
Fair, like if you're talking about the original game, not the remake that just came out.
How many times has
that
Resident
shit.
Evil
It's the
4 been
same shit.
released?
It's the same story. If it's not, let's get this straight. If it's
Oh
not
my
a Final
God.
Hold on. If it's not a Final Fantasy VII type of remake, then the game is the same, except for updated graphics and maybe the occasional line change here and there.
So, even if it's a remake, you're just like, it's all a remaster.
If it's not Final Fantasy VII remake level, then no.
The only reason I will not argue with you is because Final
because
Fantasy VII Remake is
that's
the best
exactly
game of all
what I said.
time.
That's exactly
Therefore,
what I said.
I will let what you say be true, though I do not believe in it. I will let it
You activated my
go.
Trap card.
What a smart thing to do.
I think with my brain occasionally.
What have you been playing, Gabe?
Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, and No Man's Sky.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was making fun of the Starfield people. And then I ended up getting hooked back into No Man's Sky. So
I have played I have played Starfield. I made my character, and then they were like, "What's your background?" And I was like, "I don't know," and I turned it off. But
y'all asking for too much.
they really were, because I was like, I made my character, and then I start walking, and you do the tutorials. I'm doing the tutorial, I'm walking, I'm breaking rocks. I'm like, why the fuck am I breaking rocks? Like, I don't even know who this person is. And then they finally asked me, who are you? And I was like, I don't know. So I turned it off because there's too many options. But that's how far I got in Starfield. I've been a sap. I've been playing Overwatch. I used to be a platinum player. I am no longer in platinum. I don't want to talk about it. The level that I'm in now, I'm just never gonna get out of. So I've just
Are you in
decided
silver?
that it doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about it on the podcast.
It's okay. I'm in silver. I got D-ranked from platinum to silver too.
Oh my god, we should play together.
Yeah,
We
I
should
I
do
don't know.
that
It's like I
together.
didn't play for like a couple of months, and when I got back in, it's like, oh, you need to re-rank, and I re-ranked. They're like, yeah, you're in silver. I'm like, why?
Yep, the same thing happened to me, and yeah, but because we're both in silver, we can totally play together. Let's do it after the
Yeah,
podcast. Let's do
I
one
have a
match.
date after the podcast.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I
Let's
know.
wrap this up. Go get your date. Wrap this bad boy up. I've also been playing Pokemon DLC. I got to the part where you like fight the people in the first area, and then my
Hmm.
character was like T-posing and falling down a like thanks guys. My character literally T-posed, and then he went back like regular, and I was like, whoa, glitch of the matrix, the fuck was that? And then I start walking, and then they have these little like these levels on the ground, and I like slid down a level, but then my character got stuck in the sliding animation, so he was like in
Damn.
the air like just sitting there for a while, and I couldn't move, and then he reset himself, and I was like, I don't think this game's ready for me, so I turned it off. I played it again. I beat the shit out of that new bitch in the beginning.
Nice.
She's such a bitch, but I low
She is a
key
bitch.
am feeling it. I've been playing some Street Fighter 6. Aki's really fun. Trying to finish Final Fantasy 16. I thought I was further than I was. I apparently am not, because every time I start playing, there's more stuff to do, and I'm like, bro, when are we gonna save the fucking world? Like, I got shit to do. And I think that's it. I don't think I'm playing anything new. I've been doing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff because of work. Yakuza Infinite Wealth is coming. Final Fantasy Rebirth, I've been watching a lot of content on that. It's probably going to replace Remake as my favorite game of all time. I have seen so much great stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen Tifa jumping off of Cloud's sword in the combo attack.
I have.
Mind blowing. But anyway, Gabe's got a date, so let's run through D&D, not D&D. Let's run through video game stuff so we can get that man out of here. Why didn't you say you had a date earlier? I would have rushed this
Get
so
this
fast.
man a
I
shield.
did, but that was like one of those moments where like I exited out of the chat really quick.
Okay, well, video game performers under SAG-AFTRA have voted to authorize a strike with 98% of votes. This does not mean they're striking or will strike. The actors are bargaining with top companies, including Activision, Take-Two, and Epic. The full story is available on Bloomberg.com. We just finished the strike, the writer strike for the Writers Guild, and now, luckily, video games are being authorized to come together and start bargaining about what they deserve as far as monetary value goes, which I think is great. I'm assuming you guys also think is great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Pay people
Yeah.
what they're worth. Absolutely.
So my question to you guys, which I think we talked about briefly previously, is what do you think is the outcome if they decide to strike? And what do you think we can expect?
Oh man, obviously some games will be getting delayed. That's okay with me. I got so much in my backlog already. But as far as like the workers, I don't know why I think this. I feel like it'll be a longer battle because I feel like there's a lot worse with that industry, particularly with payment. But optimistically speaking, I think it would eventually go into the favor of those striking. I just think it will take longer. I just think there's just so much that needs to be fixed.
And so what we can expect is just delayed games.
I mean, that's the minimum. That's the absolute minimum. Who knows what other kind of consequences could come from it, but I do think that's at least the minimum. So, yeah, if y'all got some games y'all ain't finished, get ready for them droughts, I guess.
Detective Archive Raincoat is one on my list.
Yeah, I do need to get back to that at some point too, but there's a lot of games.
Oh, you stopped playing it? Is it bad?
It's middling, unfortunately. I want to see the story through to the end, but no, it starts off really strong, but them last 2 chapters I did was like, I was not feeling them, bro.
It's as mid in Final Fantasy 16.
I don't think mid is actually.
It was
mid,
a
though.
joke, bro.
I know. And that's the thing though. Like her name is Mid, so people were making the obvious joke, but I don't think she's a mid character. Like, why'd you name her
Well,
this,
so
bro?
far she's a little annoying, so let's see what she does. Gabe, what do you think? How will this
Um,
affect
I-
us? What do you think?
I agree with Brandon that the strike will last longer, but I feel like that's because, unlike movies and shows, these companies don't really rely like on I'm not gonna say on a set set audience. Like for example, like movies make their money back, through movies and when they go on streaming platforms.
Mhm.
Games usually make their money through DLC. So it's like they can hold that a little bit longer because they have, I guess, the quote unquote content to be able to hold out paying their workers more. But also, I don't know, like people said the Hollywood strike was long. I didn't even realize it was a 5 month thing. Like to me, it felt like yesterday that they decided to go on strike, and I was reading on
Yeah.
Twitter the other day, so it was like it's been a long 5 months. I was like, long 5 months of what?
I
So
I also didn't realize it had been that long until the news reports came out. I was like, shit, really?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think for video games, it's a much harder battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a more dangerous battle because I'm sure that you guys have seen. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but I'm sure you guys have seen, some voice actors already complaining because their voices are being replicated through AI without, any type of recompense on their end. Like there's nothing, and all I can see is a bunch of people wanting to get into the industry, getting opportunities if a strike were to come through, getting opportunities, or a situation where like I think back to Bayonetta with Jennifer Hale and the original voice actress of Bayonetta, and how it's like,
Mm.
if we can't agree to something, you're out, I'm hiring someone else. And of course you have big standards in video games media that are going to be on the front lines in a situation like this. But then you also have a lot of startup people that might very easily take those spots, right? Like, and then you mix their voice with AI of another notable voice character, push it out there, and keep it moving forward, because we got some really slimy people. I mean, you look at the industry and the way that they deal with crunch time and the amount of work that goes into a single game that takes years only for X amount of uh 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 uh, uh what's the word? I'm out of words tonight.
you got it. I believe in you.
I really don't. You work so hard and you only get a set amount back, and then you find out that the CEO is making 10 times what you made on this
Sure.
project that you've done for the last 5 years of your life. So it's a lot. Like, it's a lot that goes into something like this. But then, we also see what happens when you are fairly compensated and you do get the opportunity to get, what you're worth. And then you get games like Baldur's Gate 3, which one of the best things about it is just the audio and visual capture performance of the characters that are just played so well, and all of them love these roles and they love their jobs, and that's what it should be. But it can very easily be a situation where a lot of this can be just replaced with AI and no one will take it seriously because it's video games. So Capcom president says that game prices are too low. We're moving on. This is from Kotaku.com, written by Zach Zwiesen. Haruhiro Sujimoto asserted that the video game prices are too low, pointing to the massive increase in development costs and how game prices haven't risen at the same rate. He suggested that increasing the price of games would be a healthy option for the industry. It was only a year ago that the era of $70 video games really began, as numerous AAA releases like Gotham Knights and God of War Ragnarok began selling for $10 more than what players had come to expect. Now, in 2023, around half of AAA games from large publishers have adopted the new $70 price point. Yet Capcom is one of the few publishers that has abstained from raising prices thus far. It has continued to sell new games like Street Fighter 6 at $60 instead of $70, but that might be changing. According to a September 23rd report from Nikki, Tsujimoto spoke at the Tokyo Game Show about various topics. While speaking at the event, the president of Capcom reportedly explained that he felt the price of video games was too low. Quote, development costs are about 100 times higher than during the Famicom era, but software prices have not gone up that much. Sujimoto said, referring to Nintendo's massively successful 8-bit console from the 1980s. There's also a need to raise wages. Considering the fact that wages are rising in the industry as a whole, I think raising unit prices is a healthy option for businesses. He went on to further explain that even a recession or society's low general confidence in the business world shouldn't matter when it comes to game prices, saying that those factors have little to do with the game industry, and that people still bought games even during the Lehman Brothers stock collapse in 2008. Quote, just because there's a recession doesn't mean you won't go to the movie theater or go to your favorite artist concert. High quality games will continue to sell, said Sujimoto. So That I read a lot of it, so I think you guys get the deal here of
Sure.
how he feels. And Kelly has also talked about. Kelly has brought up this on the podcast before and completely agreed that the amount of money that it costs now. We're talking about millions of dollars. Even I didn't know how much something like The Last of Us costs. It costs millions of dollars to make these games. And they're still $60, and technically they probably should very well be much more than $60 based on just the industry as a whole. However, I also think he's not wrong because in the middle of the pandemic, nobody's making money. We all still bought and played Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, he's not wrong. People are going to buy things to at least have some form of entertainment, and I think. I do agree that it is healthier for business if the $70 price point is there. However, while saying that, I also think that because we have such a high standard for $60 games, you really have to prove that you're keeping the $70 standard when you're going across the board, because no one should have to pay $70 for Mortal Kombat 1 on the Nintendo Switch, for example. But those are my thoughts. What are yours?
I don't
Honestly-
think games come out complete enough to be charged that much.
I disagree.
There's no, don't get me wrong. There's a slew of games, not a slew. There's a good amount of games that they come out complete.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games that come out with a lot of bugs and stuff that make the game feel incomplete. The amount of day one patches that a lot of game needs that fix a ton of things is kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's because we were so used to not having those day one patches when we were younger, so it seemed, I'm not saying they were, it seemed like games were more complete. But like, to me personally, I see a lot of big games or a lot of anticipated games coming out, and it's like, well, sorry, developers are immediately going on to Twitter saying, sorry, we got to work on something because it's.
I think we should discuss what you think big games are, because I can't think of a recent big AAA title that's happened to.
Redfall.
I don't consider Redfall a big AAA title from Arcane Studios that was in the middle of an Xbox nonsense bullshit thing. Like, and I could be, I could be very wrong about that. But when I think of, big AAA titles that deserve that $70 thing, I don't think they had those issues. Like, Tears of the Kingdom or Street Fighter 6 or Baldur's Gate 3, like, Resident Evil 4 Remake, even, like, all of these games came out without having those issues, and not everything except for Resident Evil 4 Remake doesn't even have DLC. Like, they're complete titles. So I do feel like that was kind of what I alluded to in the beginning. Baldur's Gate 3, Street Fighter 6, which also does fairly have DLC, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and what else did I say? Oh, Tears of the Kingdom. But a lot of those, like, high caliber games from studios that we know have been coming out as complete games. And that's what I mean. Like, if you're going to go for a $70 standard, I do think that your game needs to be on par with those type of games to be able to. I don't think that we disagree. I think we're saying the same thing in a different way. I just am giving more leeway than you are, because I don't think that any recent AAA game has been horrible. I am discounting Xbox because I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like,
that doesn't count. That doesn't count. If you're gonna talk about the game industry, you're gonna talk about every single person in the game industry.
But Arcane is not a AAA studio though, so like I don't think they
from
count.
Xbox now. Okay, no, that's a different conversation there. Never mind. Okay.
No, not every studio that Arcane has
No,
gotten.
it wasn't something you said. It was something I was gonna say as a different conversation.
Because, like, Deathloop came out great, and then Xbox bought them, and then trash. But I mean, like, Square Enix, Capcom, Nintendo Publishing, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out great. Fire Emblem Engage
Pokemon came out great.
No, it didn't.
I know.
But also, those games were not $70. Right? Tears of the Kingdom came out great, and it was $70. That's what I mean. Like, you have to have that caliber, that quality of game to be able to charge that, because we're so used to paying $60. If you're making me pay more, I expect more. And I think that's the only issue with this conversation for gamers, because I do think we should be paying more overall based on just the amount of money it costs to make games. However, you have to meet the demands of people who have been paying this price for however long. And I still can't think of any, really big AAA titles that cost $70 that have been trash, aside from the Nintendo Switch version of Mario Kart, of Mortal Kombat 1. That's like if they charge $70 for, Mario Kart 8, like, I would be like, what the fuck? But charging $70 for Tears of the Kingdom, I think a lot of us were just like, okay, like, fair. Not everybody, but like a lot of us were willing to pay that because we knew the quality and caliber of, Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
Honestly, I'm pretty much in agreement with a lot of what you said. Like, yeah, like I think I brought this up a few months ago on like a previous podcast episode, but like Masahiro Sakurai had done like a video basically talking about how like games today are actually pretty cheap, in comparison, because he was specifically making comparisons to the fact that if you buy like an NES or Super Nintendo game or even a 64 game, they would vary in price between 60 or 70 depending on how much was in the game. And those are, games that came out
in the 90s. Yes,
in the 90s, exactly.
And we're still paying the same.
We're still paying the same price, even though game prices have inflated. And that's why we get so much shit like DLC these days, or loot boxes, or season passes. It's a way to outset the cost, because the base price of the average game just wouldn't be enough to cover the cost, even if it did sell really well. It has to sell extremely well for them to kind of like break even these days. And so that's kind of like where that statement is coming from. That being said, to the statement itself, he isn't wrong, but I almost feel like he's also taking the wrong lesson from this. That like, hey, maybe games should cost more. Like you said, Drill, if games are going to cost more, then the expectations are only going to go up for that. Like, games will be expected to be bigger. They'll be expected to not release with a shit ton of bugs at launch. They'll expect it to be very complete games that feel worth that price tag. Because even now, $70 is we're a few years into the $70 price tag now, when you consider PS5 and Xbox Series. But there's still some people that have issues with it, and don't even get me started on that controversy earlier this year with Tears of the Kingdom being $70. That's just that, people, Switch owners are just not used to paying that for their Nintendo games, and I think that may even continue when we get the Switch 2, which we'll talk more about that later. But it definitely makes a point for, I think games should be priced according to what kind of content they have. Like, for example, Everybody 1-2 Switch came out, that was like $40. Like, quality of that game aside, I think for what that game was like advertising, I think 40 was a fair price.
Yeah.
The new WarioWare game coming out, that's $50. I think that's a fair price for that.
Even Detective Pikachu coming out is what, 40, 50? It's not 60.
Yeah, it's not. And I think that is also a fair price. Like, that's, there's room for mid-price games. If development costs are ballooning, then make a few cheaper games. Like, not everything has to be of like a goddamn juggernaut like Spider-Man Miles Morales or a Starfield or whatever. Like, not every game needs to be that. And when they do come out, assuming they launch good, you can charge them to the price. Fine, but yeah, we don't need those kind of games constantly,
Yeah.
So
I think another thing. I think another thing to keep in mind here is that the games that Capcom are charging $70 for are so far very good games. Let me correct that. The games that they're not charging $70 for are so far very good games. Resident Evil 4 Remake being a Game of the Year contender as one of the best games released this year. Same thing with Street Fighter 6 being one of the best fighters released this year. Both of those games did not cost $70. So I think keeping in mind, a president who has to think of the numbers like we don't have to, and is like, we're releasing $70 caliber games, maybe get ready for us to follow the trend. He mentions the trend happens, and it's not going to be something that we can all whatever. I don't want to keep going on about this, but you get what I'm saying.
I think we're all pretty much in the same agreement, just in our own different ways about this subject. That
Gabe is not in agreement.
I have not agreed with both of you. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
I'm just saying, because Brandon was about to make like the finishing statement. I'm like, no.
No, I mean, it's totally fair to think that $70 is too much because games are coming out unfinished.
Sure.
And I agree with that. I
I
think
mean, it's
that-
more than that though. Like me personally, but this is because I'm cheap as shit. I don't think games should cost 1/4 of the console you bought. But then that invites the conversation of, well, then shouldn't consoles be priced more? So it's a whole nother,
Fair.
there's a whole nother loop
So,
there.
question then, with the way, okay, let's look at groceries from the 90s to 2023, and we look at the inflation rate of those. But then you look at video games from the 90s to today, and you know it costs more. What do you think of that?
Me personally, I used to think games back then cost too much too. Again, I think I'm just cheap, but because like back then, I remember so one of the only ways for me to play Majora's Mask was to get the Legend of Zelda collector's edition for the GameCube, because I think GameStop or EB Games, whoever it was, had stopped they stopped selling N64 games. And mind you, this is a collector's edition, so it's gonna be priced about $30 more than a regular game. It was like, I think $85 when I saw it. I was like, that's too much for a fucking game. But I was getting Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, a couple of the NES Zelda games, and then a preview to Wind Waker. Like, I was getting all that in that disc, and I was like, no, that's too expensive. So, like, again, me personally, back then, I thought games cost way too much. Which, I know it sounds mean, because I know there's a lot of development that goes into it. I know a lot of these people do a lot of work, but then that just makes me think, okay, if they're doing all that work, everyone that's not doing work on that game but works for that company, start thinking about taking a pay cut. And then that just sounds mean towards those people. So it's, I don't know, I think I'm just cheap. I think that's it. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay. I just think that you can't ignore the fact that everything costs more to make, and therefore it costs more for us to purchase, except for video games.
That is true.
They have literally not changed. And I don't think, in a few years, that won't necessarily be a sustainable business. Like, you can't continue to put more into and pay more for this and get less of a return. It's not going to work, like, business-wise. And I think that's just what he's saying. So are we gonna see Capcom games cost more? Probably, but are they worth it? So far, I can't think of a bad title Capcom's put out recently. Even Monster Hunter has been good. Like, I don't think they've put out any. Have they put anything out that's been pretty bad?
I mean,
Monster Hunter? Yeah, every Monster Hunter game that's out there.
Okay, not that you don't.
I was just trying to rile
like...
Grayson.
Okay, fair.
I love Monster Hunter games. They're fun.
Yeah, I don't think they've put out anything
and beautiful.
bad.
I mean, again, yeah, like now that you mentioned it, the Monster Hunter on Switch, that was a good looking game for the Switch. So,
Story was gorgeous too.
That was my other question that I wanted to ask you guys that I forgot, which is, do you think that because the Switch is going on 7-8 years old, that's kind of a part to play in why people aren't willing to spend $70 on it? Because the games that are $70 now are on next gen, like it's brand new. We've only had these consoles for 3 years, whereas the Switch is a 6-7 year old console. Do you think that has something to do with why people are resistant of paying $70 for like an older generation?
100%. Yeah, no, like I don't think anyone had any doubt that Tears of the Kingdom was going to be a good game, but it's still like you're still being asked to pay $70 when you've been paying $60 for almost 6 years now. So I get where people are coming from. But on the other side of that, you have Mortal Kombat 1. Even if that game had not, even if that game had not released with all these like really laggy things or bugs or whatever,
it still should have been a $60 title. That's
exactly my
point.
Even
if like, it was perfect.
Even if it was perfect, because it was just not going to look as good. Like it was going to look like a game. It was going to look like a game that was made for PS5 and Series X coming on Switch. Yeah. So just from that basic premise, it should have always been 60.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like months before this game came out, no one was on board with that Switch version being $70.
Yeah.
And now even less so that it's actually come out.
It should have been.
It should have been 60.
Yeah.
It should have been
40.
Mortal Kombat 1 should have been $60.
He said it should have been 60 if it came out perfectly.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I
No,
agree
yeah,
with
but
that.
the age of a console definitely plays into it because that was one of the big uproars when they were like, "Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is gonna be $70." I'm like, everyone was like, "Are you out of your mind? The console is 7, 6, 8 years old. What are you doing?"
And
And that's
they
what you can
sold
explain. It's like,
like
yeah, it's like,
fucking hotcakes.
I mean, one thing about Zelda players is we're gonna
They gonna spend
complain and
that money.
complain and complain, but we gonna dish that money out
Do you know who else
every
does that?
single time, huh?
Pokemon players.
Oh
They're
my
just the
gosh, Pokemon players
same.
are worse than us. I'm gonna say it right now.
Final Fantasy players will do it too.
It's true.
It doesn't
But
even
to
matter.
be fair,
But we
Final
get
Fantasy has
really
been
good stuff. So
like here's the thing about Final Fantasy is while yes the game itself like the story or the characters might be kind of poopy, you can always guarantee, at least from what I've seen in the Final Fantasies I've played, you're gonna get a beautiful world.
I know, really
for
good story. How
Sure.
dare you?
for the thing is, I know some people don't like all the stories for
Well,
all the
they're
Final
wrong.
Fantasies,
Oh, okay, fine.
and you can say that because you're the Final Fantasy expert. I'm not.
No, but you're right. Yeah, you're 100% right. Like
Like,
there
you're
is
always
going
gonna
to
get
be
a beautiful world.
You're going to get a good quality title. Even Final Fantasy 15, which people rag on, like even 13, which people rag on, like that was revolutionary for the PS3. Like if you had that and
Yeah.
played that when it first came out, it was because they always do. Well, they used to always do, and very short tangent. They used to always do console selling first games on PlayStation years
Yes.
ago. So you had like Final Fantasy X, you had at the end of
Seven
Final
on the
Fantasy IX
PS4.
and the beginning of Final Fantasy X, and then you had Final Fantasy 13 bringing in the PS3, you had Final Fantasy 15 bringing in the PS4, and despite the game, it was always showing off what the new console could do, and that's a
Sure.
part of what really sold that. And that's now we're getting Rebirth because I don't think 16. No, I don't think 16 is that for the PS5. Sorry, everyone who loves 16.
I don't feel like it either.
But
But sorry, funny that you say that. This is also a side tangent because everyone's reporting with the rumors of the Switch too. They're like, yeah, like Final Fantasy VII remake is running on it, and that's gonna be like the one of the Switch first days to show you what the console can do. So it's funny that you say that because like that can solidify that rumor that
Yeah.
we probably know is not true, but still.
and I'm hoping that Rebirth is going to be that for the PS5, just based on what I've seen. Because they've had time to refine it. It's not stuck on PS4 and PS5. They know how to work with the PS5 now after remake, and just it's gonna be great. Wish the Disney trailer came out, as did a trailer for Devil May Cry, the Netflix series, both animated, obviously. And we also got PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan stepping down from the company. He's been
Surprising.
there since for fucking forever. Like, do we? Let's see. What do I have here? He's set to retire in March of 2024. What? What? Oh, okay. Hiroki Totoki will assume the role of chairman of Sony Entertainment, Sony Interactive Entertainment. Oh my god! Effective October 2023, effective April 1, 2024, Mr. Totoki will be appointed interim CEO of the company while he continues his role at Sony Group. Yeah, this man's out of there. And
Wow.
it was very shocking because it's been like he's been, CEO of PlayStation forever. There's been a lot of rumors. Is he taking Phil Spencer with him? Clearly not, because.
Shut up.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, that's just he's gone. Any thoughts on that?
It's just surprising. He's just been there just so long.
That man
so many different-
old.
What?
He old, and he was like,
He is. He is old. He is old.
Y'all keep making me go to
Realistically,
these virtual
everyone's got to
concerts.
retire sometime,
Yeah.
or that decision will be forced for them. But like in this case, he's leaving on his own terms. Good for him, I guess. Yeah, PlayStation has done some good and bad things under his leadership, but I think overall he's been a pretty good leader for them. Looking forward to seeing what he does next, but also looking forward to seeing what the new CEO does.
Nothing. He's gonna. Do
I'm
the
just
same
surprised about how much traveling that man did.
Yeah.
thing.
Like I can't I don't
That's
care
why
how much
he's
I get paid.
retiring.
Yeah,
That's
but
why.
I can't like to me personally, I don't care how much money I get paid. That's a lie. There's definitely a limit that I'll do this. But like to go from England to America and then to Japan, I think he said all within like a month. Like he does that monthly. I'm like, dude, no.
And now he's like, I'm too old for this shit. Like, y'all find somebody
Yeah,
else who's gonna go back and forth.
that's ridiculous, man. But
Um,
also, to be fair, it was his decision to live in England, so that's Loki. That's Loki on him.
okay.
That was Loki on him, but
All right.
you do
Well,
what you do when you got money.
Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite and Unreal Engine, is laying off a whopping 16% of its employees, or around 900 people. Sources told Bloomberg recently. Epic boss Tim Sweeney said in an email to staff that for a while now, we've been spending way more money than we earn. Fortnite creator profit margins are not as big as Fortnite was. 870 jobs were eliminated, but Epic is still hiring, and apparently there are no more layoffs planned after that. There's also a report after this that Epic Games had reportedly laid off the team behind Fall Guys, Mediatonic. They had a lot of money.
He had, yes.
And
I mean, I'm not gonna say the joke yet.
no, go ahead. All I had to say was they had a lot of money. What the fuck?
Well, no, because I was gonna say something serious first. But I mean, about the guys that did Fall Guys. They the layoffs came out. Everyone found out about them, and then maybe like 2 days later, the Fall Guys Twitter account posted the jelly beans wearing Buzz Lightyear and Woody. So we know where all their money went into why they couldn't pay all those people. It's because they had to pay Disney a huge bag to get those guys into Fall Guys.
Man.
But I wanted to ask about this topic when I first read it to you guys. Would anytime Fortnite came out with a collaboration, would you sit and look at your screen and be like, how do they have all the money to do this?
No.
Or is that just me?
No, I mean, no, I do think about it sometimes though, because every time they one up themselves in terms of what the craziest crossover they do is, it is something I think about. Like, when back in the day when they had the Mandalorian, it's like, damn, how'd they do this? When they started putting anime characters, like, damn, how'd they do this? Like to be fair, like Naruto was first before Dragon Ball Z, right? Was that the order, or is it the other way around? Either way, it's irrelevant. Like whenever the first anime character got into Fortnite, I was just like, damn, they're getting anime characters now. And of course, when the next one came out, it wasn't as big a deal because we already did one, so I guess the next one is inevitable. But just like every time they get a new franchise or a new celebrity or whatever, it is surprising to me how much money they had to spend to make it, but how much money they expected to get in return for it. And I just feel like all of this that is happening just really kind of just boils down to like bad business decisions, because Fortnite is certainly a popular enough game that I think they should still be getting enough money to properly pay their employees and keep everything a sustainable business. The problem is because it made so much money, Epic was probably looking next door at their friends at Valve and thought, hey, we could do that too. Our game is bigger than whatever the shit Steam's putting out or Valve is putting out. And so they started, making ludicrous money offers, like to Kay's point, paying Disney for that crossover for a Fall Guys, or making shit like the Epic Game Store and trying to pay for exclusivity for certain games or timed exclusivity in certain cases before it goes to Steam. Shit like that, just like spending all the money that they thought they were going to make back and ultimately not making it. I mean, in business, you're just going to make gambles that sometimes don't pay off, but they just kept making bad decisions, and it's almost frankly kind of embarrassing that, again, they have Fortnite, one of the most popular games in the world right now, and they're still struggling to make money because of these bad business decisions. And I hate to say this, because I realistically cannot expect the average business person to be like Satoru Iwata, where they would just rather take a pay cut than lose people. But like, I'm sorry, now that precedent is there, I just kind of look at a lot of CEOs in a bad light now after hearing that people would just rather just like lay off all these employees to keep buying their second yachts, I guess.
I don't know what bad decisions they made like that were so bad that would cause this.
No, you're right. Like nothing. I don't think any one bad decision is like to blame for this. I think it's just like a series of like
because
just
everything,
spending money they don't
all
have.
of this, but that's, I don't know that they did that though. That's why I hesitate to agree with you, because Epic Game Store is like profitable for them, or has been. So like everything they have done has been profitable for them. So I don't know that I can just blame it on bad business decisions. Like I don't know what the fuck happened. Like Fortnite has dipped, right? And they can't predict that Fortnite is going to dip. They can't predict that it's going to compete against, the next Call of Duty. Like it can be something as little as that, right? And that'll just destroy your business if you have a business plan set forward and then people just stop playing your game. It's not as popular as it once was. So I don't know. I hesitate to agree because I don't want to say that they're making bad, business decisions, because I don't know. But what I do know is that I agree with you about, hey, you could take a pay cut to, help out, especially for Mediatonic, because they did get rid of Mediatonic.
Yeah.
And Fall Guys was profitable for them. So getting rid of an entire team that worked really hard and brought you profit is bullshit. Like, I will say that's bullshit. That's horrible of them. And to answer your question, Gabe, no, I never really thought about it, because I always thought once they went up against Apple, I was like, oh, they got money. Like, they're fine.
That's true. That's true.
They're
But,
not
like,
scary.
but, like, I don't know. Like, for me,
the reason I never really thought about, oh, how much does it cost for them to get these, is because these are all, mutual things. Both parties benefit from this. And we don't know whether, for Fall Guys, we got that Near Automata crossover, and the director of that game was like, I'm putting my shit everywhere so I can get paid. Like, I'm trying to get money. And I don't know how many of these companies were just like, yo, Fortnite is really fucking popular, like, let's get in on that. We can offer you 2 of these, like the PlayStation exclusive ones, right? Like, that is a simple conversation between Epic Games and PlayStation being like, hey, you get to put these skins on there, and we're already getting a percentage of whatever's purchased through PlayStation on PlayStation for Fortnite. So get these characters for free. You don't have to pay for them. We get more of a percentage on those purchases. Boom, that deal is done. You get Nathan Drake and whoever the fuck else was there. Same thing with Capcom.
Kratos.
Capcom has a new game coming out. Like, how can we both mutually make money off of this? I lend you the skins for my characters as long as they can't do X, Y, and Z, because that's outside of the purview of what I want my characters to do, and we get a benefit of the pay cut, and you make a lot of money because people are going to buy it. So I never really thought, like, how are they spending so much to acquire these? I actually just assumed that, because a lot of these releases have been not necessarily next to, but in conjunction with the game in some way, or the anime in some way. Not all the time, but a lot of the times they have been. So like, I think the anime with the big things, Attack on Titan, a lot of people were talking about, the finale and the not finale, and then it was like, hey, a few months later you can play the Attack on Titan characters, and you capitalize on that. Resident Evil 4 remake came out. We got the Resident Evil characters. Street Fighter 6 was on the horizon. We got Chun-Li and Ryu. Like, so it makes sense. So I never thought, like, damn, how are they, to answer your question, no, I never thought that, just because I was like, yeah, it totally makes sense. I too would call them up and be like, hey bitch, let's get something together. And then same thing with celebrities. Like, 100% Ariana Grande was not like, put me in Fortnite. Like, that was clearly a conversation, a mutual conversation of, hey, it's COVID, Travis Scott was also not like, well, maybe he was, but that's a mutual conversation of, hey, I have a business, you have a really lucrative business, let's see what we can do. I don't know, how much they paid to be on there, but I don't see it out of the realm of possibility that some of these companies either paid little or nothing to get their characters on there for profit. That's all. Okay, so can we move on? Or did anyone have a rebuttal? Okay.
No, I'm good.
And yeah, Disney and Pixar's Buzz Lightyear and Woody are coming to Fall Guys. Rip. The Switch 2 rumors are in overdrive. However, Nintendo says it's still working on Switch games for 2025. Not surprising. I would assume that they would continue to work on them for a while after the new console.
Yeah. I mean, Sony and Microsoft did it too, so
Yeah,
it's not like
still doing it.
I saw again I saw it on Twitter and someone was like, well, "Why would they do that? Just put all your focus." I was like, "My brother in Christ, even PlayStation and Xbox,
They do it
who
all the
are
time.
they have big next gen consoles, didn't do that stuff. We just stopped. They just stopped the PS4 games.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the games coming
Not
out
even
now from now
completely.
on.
Some of them still do
Yeah,
come
some of
out
them are
on
still doing it.
PS4.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's not an uncommon thing. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo fans are special. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that too, Gabe, because like historically Nintendo has done this too. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like let's break this down like real quick. I'll make it quick. NES and Super Nintendo, both very successful consoles. They both kept games coming out even after the successor console. And NES had games coming out for 3 full years after the Super Nintendo was in particular. That one was crazy. Now the home consoles traditionally don't though because like I guess Nintendo's just like, man, just move on to the next one because like their fate, like N64 got slapped by the PS1, Game got slapped by the PS2, so they're like, we just got to get the next one out. So they were doing that for home console, but handhelds especially, and Switch, is partially handheld, have always kept their previous generations going for at least a year when the next one comes out, especially since they had backwards compatibility. There was just no reason for them to stop, like cold turkey. Like you can keep that going for now, and if Switch 2, as we assume, we don't know for sure, but if we assume it's still going to have backwards compatibility to the previous Switch, there's literally no reason for them to just stop making Switch games. Like they can, people can buy, Switch games for their Switch 2. Now, are there going to people be like, man, I don't want to play no fucking Switch game in my Switch 2. I want to play new games. Like, sure. I know people who, when they buy the next console, they don't want to ever look back. That's
never touching a Switch again.
Even if you can do backwards compatibility, there's just people who just don't want to do that, and that's fair. That's fair. But as a business, it makes no sense with this huge install base for them to just completely cut off support cold turkey. Now that being said, let's say it doesn't have backwards compatibility. It doesn't. That's a lot more harder for people to swallow because that would mean they would have to potentially hold that two systems. Like I can tell you right now, when the 3DS kept support for several years after the Switch came out, man, I was playing my 3DS for like maybe another year or so because there were some games I just really wanted to play. But by 2018 midway, I was not touching my 3DS anymore. Like I had fully moved on to Switch, even though they kept games coming out to like at least until 2020. That's just the way it is. And I feel like if there is backwards compatibility, people will keep play these games for wherever they plan to end with 2025. Honestly, I think that's kind of light. I think that's kind of light. They're just like, oh, we got games in 2025. Switch 2 is assumed to land in 2024. I wouldn't have been surprised if they said 2026, honestly.
And then that's the other thing. Like the Switch is rumored to come out. Not rumored. Sorry, Nintendo set the earliest that the Switch 2 will come out, and they said spring 2024.
Right.
Boo-hoo, you have to buy games for your original Switch for 1 year more. Like, bro, like a year is not that serious. But again, but then also we know the Switch isn't come out. The Switch 2 isn't coming out spring 2024. They just set that as a like the earliest timeline in case they feel they're ready.
Nothing. No,
Jarrell,
I'm just kidding.
I know for a fact. Jarrell was one of those people when he read the rumor about spring 2024. He was like, that shit ain't happening. And put his phone down. I know he was one of those people.
And we're just getting a Switch to OLED.
Please don't say that. Please don't say that.
It can play Final Fantasy VII. It's fine.
But either way, yeah, as you guys already said, this is not surprising whatsoever. Like, of course, they're gonna keep games coming out for the successful as console even when the new one comes out.
Yeah.
I just really do hope backwards compatibility is in there because that will.
I hope it's better than backwards compatibility on the Switch. I do not want to go through this virtual console thing again.
Oh, get ready, buddy.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Get ready.
That bottleneck approach of releasing 3-4 games every like 10 months.
Yeah,
that's an exaggeration, but oh my gosh.
No, like what is not available on the NSL now? I just hope none of that goes away. Like add, don't reset. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like when the Switch 2 comes out and you're doing the virtual console again, that entire library that you already have for the Switch better be there.
Yeah, because we've been through this twice already. Like the Wii had
actually, fuck that. Get rid of some of them shit and then give us the remakes of the 3D versions of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
I would like
because I don't want to look, Brandon. I'm gonna be very sad saying this because it's gonna give Jarrell fire. If there is a better version than the stupid triangle graphics that I get from a game, I'm gonna want the better version.
Sure, but
Like,
the thing is,
Clipped.
you'd have to play. You'd have to pay probably minimum $40 or $50 for this version. Whereas someone who already has the expansion pack, like, man, I can just play Ocarina of Time.
I paid
with my thing already got.
I paid $50 for the Super Mario 3D All Stars, and I have a GameCube and a Wii U, and I have a 3DS where I can get the N64 game on.
Well, I have only one thing to say to this, and that is we're moving on because we're running out of time. Naughty Dog is reportedly laying off at least 25 developers, most of whom are quality assurance contractors. The Last of Us multiplayer spinoff is said to be basically on ice, although it is not completely canceled. I have one question for y'all, which I posed about this, which is, does it even matter? Aside from the obvious layoffs conversation, which we could have, but I feel like we all know where we're going to stand on that one.
Sure,
Is it too late for The Last of Us multiplayer spinoff? When did The Last of Us come out? Last of Us 2?
Man, that came out in 2020. 2020, yeah. The Last of Us Part 2 came out in 2020, and the Part 1 remake came out last year. Yeah.
They put out a whole game, a remake of an original game, and still have yet to put out this multiplayer that is now on ice, going into the fourth year. We're going to be going into the fourth year of the PlayStation 5 at this point, 4 years since the release. And this just reminds me of that random-ass drop of Tales of Arise DLC, like, years after its release. But yeah, do you think that, it's dead and donezo for multiplayer of Last of Us 2?
I do not think so, because it had its resurgence with the show, and
they capitalized with the game.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't mean you don't have to capitalize with one game. You can do more than that. Like,
how long ago was the show?
and then also it's also that thing about, like, people who like single player games and then people who like multiplayer games, especially if you're bringing in new fans from the show. It's like, oh, I don't want to play a single player game because I just saw the movie. It's the same thing.
How long ago was the show?
This year.
It was this year.
Like it was like in March or something.
Yeah, this year's been going fast, and it's also been dragging on.
Oh my god. I did not think that was this year. I think it's too late. Just like I don't think Tales of Rise is too late. I think it's too late. I think it's too late because every time we hear about The Last of Us multiplayer, they're like, it's coming, and then they push it. And then they're like, it's coming, and then they push it. And now, it's being pushed again. I don't even want it anymore. Which sucks because I know a lot of people love the original Last of Us multiplayer. Yes.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was I agree with you. In fact, here's how I agree, how much I agree. So, to your point about, like, well, let me just put it this way. Last of Us Part 1 came out late last year, right? That would have been a great time to say, hey, that multiplayer is coming. Here's a trailer for it. That didn't happen. Yep. So that ship sailed. Then we got, as Gabe mentioned, the show came out earlier this year. What would have been great? That show wraps up. Here's a trailer for the multiplayer. Even if it didn't come out immediately afterwards, like it's just drop a trailer and then saying, hey, it's coming out at the end of the year. That didn't happen. So that ship has sailed. So right now, this game is stuck in the middle of an ocean. There's no ship coming to
ship to sail it with. And
you know what could be the next ship that could ride? Season 2 of The Last of Us. Yes, exactly. That's a great opportunity to let them know it's still coming. But if we don't hear anything when that happens, then no, I think this shit's dead, bro. Like, and the fact that these layouts happen, it doesn't spell anything good.
Exactly, like layoffs on top of that.
So, like, even if, best case scenario, this game does actually come out. One, it's going to come out at a time where people have moved on for Last of Us. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing, because there's no show and there's assumingly no Part 3 on the way yet. So we haven't heard anything about it. So there'll be no hype around it, for one. And then two, it comes out with all these layouts that's just going to suck.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
it's sad to say, because Naughty Dog does have, like, some really good talented people, but we know them for, like, their really good single player games, and that's not, and the multiplayer in Last of Us, the original Last of Us, was good. Like, don't get me wrong, but, like, for this to be a multiplayer focused one, Last of Us game, it has to be a lot more than just pretty good, like the original one. It has to be, like, great. And with all these people that they're losing, I don't think they can really achieve that. I'd love to be proven wrong, but And no, the last thing I'll say about it is like the multiplayer was always like an afterthought that just happened to be good in the original. Like this was always intended to be like a single player focused game. I just don't think the Last of Us fan base is really pining for this. Like a multiplayer only game, it could do well, but like I don't know. I just everything about this just feels like it's not gonna go right. Whether it just doesn't come out, whether it comes out bad, or if it or the worst case scenario is it comes out and no one cares. Like I would hate for a good game to just not do well. That's the other thing.
Neil Druckmann